How's it going, Rogues Gallery, and welcome to another Flesh and Blood video here on Red Zone Rogue. Today, we are talking about the two upcoming Flesh and Blood sets and how you should set your expectations for them. I have a little bit of insight on what we should expect and maybe some guesses, and if my guesses are as good as they were for Tales of Aria, then I think we're going to be seeing some really cool stuff. And if you didn't know, my Tales of Aria predictions were pretty darn close. I have a whole video on that. I will be making a recap video for that very soon. Before we get started, I want to mention two really quick things. The first is, if you are looking to pick up any gaming supplies for any of your tabletop needs, go ahead and check out redzonerogue.com. It is my official merch store. I have playmats, I have some sleeves up there. We're gonna have, like, you know, apparel and that kind of stuff. And, you know, I just want to make something for everyone who watches this channel. So if you watch it for Flesh and Blood, you know, there's going to be something there for you. If you watch it for anime stuff, there's going to be something there for you. And there's even some like MetaZoo and some other things there. So go ahead and check out redzonerogue.com. It is my official merch store. And, yeah, if you're looking to pick up any cards, go ahead and check out my affiliate link with Channel Fireball. Using that link goes and supports me, but also goes and supports the local game store you're buying from, because the Channel Fireball Marketplace also now supports local game stores. So you can go there, you can get some really good deals and pick up some stuff and support me as well. So yeah, I obviously see that as a win-win. But without further ado, let's get on with the main topic today. Last weekend, we had the Cincinnati Calling, and during the live stream event, they announced that the next Flesh and Blood set debuting in Q1 2022 is going to be a supplemental set, to the surprise of almost no one. It's something that I predicted for a very long time. The next set would be supplemental. It follows the pattern, main set, supplemental set. So it makes a lot of sense, and so that is exactly what we're going to be seeing in Q1 2022. A new supplemental Flesh and Blood set. It was also announced that every hero, and this is very interesting, I'm not sure if it was every hero or every class, but they did say every hero would see support, which is interesting. I wonder if every single hero will get like a specialization. This is very interesting. This is all speculation. I don't have any insider knowledge on this part, but I think it's going to be awesome. Think of like a Crucible of War 2. I do expect there to be another legendary fabled gem, and this one I do have a little bit of insight on. It's not insider knowledge. People who have been around and have seen things can probably guess this as well. But for the Rudy kit, which I personally did not buy, for the Rudy kit, he included these two cards that hinted at an upcoming gem, and I do think that gem is going to either be in this set, the supplemental set, or the following set. And I really do think it's going to be in the supplemental set for two reasons. The first one is that I expect to see landmarks for the main sets going forward, because they are highlighting these different regions of Wraith, and that's kind of like the whole point. So having landmarks as the Fabled makes a lot of sense, you know, to highlight and hype up the areas. The second reason is because I believe it's going to be a Guardian gem, or at least a Guardian themed gem, and we just saw Guardian in Tales of Aria, so we probably not see Guardian in the next main set. Who knows, we might, but probably not. And the reason I think it's Guardian is, well, because of Tear Asunder. Now, Tear Asunder is a very cool card with very awesome and metal artwork, but what's really interesting about this is it says, Heaven's old, eternal cold, the Olin's return, the fates foretold. And in that Rudy kit, those gems that we don't know what they are yet mention the Olin, and here on a Guardian card it prominently mentions the Olin. So it's safe to assume, or at least there's a good chance, that that card, whatever that gem is, that I'll have a picture of it up here, whatever we have, has to do with the Olin. And if the Olin are Guardian themed, then that gem is therefore Guardian themed gem. Who knows, it could be a specialization like the Arknight Shard. You know, Viserai had the Arknight Shard. It could be for a new Guardian, so it could actually be for either a new Guardian to come out in the supplemental set or a new Guardian to come out in the main set. Those are all possibilities. Or it could be like a Bravo thing, or it could be like an Oldhim thing. So I think that would be great. It'd be really funny to have Oldhim and the Olin. Just the naming conventions. But yeah, I really do think that that gem is a Guardian themed gem. And I do heavily suspect that that gem is going to be in the supplemental set for the reasons that I said. So, with that said, let's talk about the main set, because they kind of announced that we're gonna have a supplemental set in Q1, and then we're gonna have a main set in either Q2 or Q3. I don't remember off the top of my head, but later in that year. And that one is going to be very, very interesting. I know me and a lot of other folks have already done a lot of speculation on this, what region we can be going into, but I want to kind of set everyone's expectations of what to expect going into this main set and what I really believe is going to be in there and what I believe is not going to be in there. What I do believe is going to be in the supplementary set is we're going to have support for, they said, all of the heroes. I expect to see more support for the elements or the talents that we've seen. So elemental, shadow, and light. I do expect to see support for all of that stuff in the next supplemental set, but not in the main set. In fact, I predict that, this is not a prediction video, but I predict in the next main set we will not see any mention or support of any of the other talent system or any of the other talents so far, because the talent system, if you read the article that James Wright wrote, oh my god, it's hard to talk. If you read the article that James White wrote about the talent system, he specifically states that every region of Wraith will have its own talent, right? And he even went on to say, like, they look forward to seeing what everyone speculate is going to be which one tied to which. So that means that unless we revisit a region that we've already been to, which I really don't think that's likely, we're going to have a brand new talent, maybe 2 brand new talents a la Monarch, maybe 1 brand new talent a la Tales of Aria. And so that means that I don't think we're going to see any support for Light, Shadow, or Elemental in the new main set, probably in the supplemental set before that. I really think that this is going to be the way they set things up. We're going to have main set, supplemental set, and that supplemental set will specifically support those 2 previous main sets. So you can think of it like a season or something like that, right? So you have a main set season, and then you have the supplemental that supports that main set season. That's what I really think they're going for, and it makes a lot of sense in terms of game design and in terms of flavor. So that's what I think they're going to be doing, and I would be very surprised if they don't do that to some extent here. And so I think we're going to see all brand new stuff for the main set, because it's going to be kicking off a new season. So for all the people who are like, oh, I want a Shadow Wizard, I want a Shadow Ninja, I don't think we're going to see any of that, at least not in the main set. Maybe in the supplemental set, but I have a feeling that that supplemental set is just going to reinforce what we already have. Probably not any new heroes, but I would be really interested to see if we have any new adult heroes. Maybe the adult hero versions of what we saw in Crucible of War. That would be very interesting. I mean, they could also just add in like a Shadow Ninja or a Shadow Wizard or something in the supplemental set, because it'll be like supplementing the Shadow and the Ninja stuff. I mean, that would be kind of cool. But for the main set, I don't think we're going to see that. One thing to note before we really get into the main set is that they have 2 products announced at the same time, which is like there's like a main set and then another product. That other product is probably just a starter decks, right? It's probably just Blitz decks or maybe even classic constructed decks for that main set. I don't think it's going to be anything crazy like a From the Vaults or, you know, Secret Lair or anything like that. I think it's just going to be the decks for the main set, because if you look at the product listings, the decks are actually listed as a separate product from the main set. So that's probably what that is. So where are we going? What are we going to see? I think, like I said, we're going to have a new landmark. I think that's going to be the main things going forward. As long as we keep visiting new areas, we're going to get landmarks. And I think the landmarks are going to be very specific to those areas and very, very key, like central pieces. So like, say we go to the pits, right? And this is the area below metrics. I would expect a landmark to be like Blackjack's Tavern or something like that, which would be awesome, by the way. Blackjack's Tavern. Oh man, that's so cool. That would be so cool. Blackjack's Tavern was a card. But are we going to go there? I don't think we're going to be going there yet, though we could. So here are the options, right? Here are the options of places we have not gone yet in the world of Wraith. It could be Volcor, and I think that's one that a lot of people will be suspecting that we go to. Volcor is the fiery realm of lava, magma, war, and strife, and it's very, very Asian inspired. There's a lot of like Japanese and those sort of motifs there. maybe even Chinese motifs. Maybe I'm getting the motifs wrong, but in any case, it's very, they've got like katanas and stuff, right? Which is Japanese. And then there's also Mysteria. Mysteria is also very Asian inspired, but more like mystical ninja-y rather than like all the war and conquest. It's more like yeah, mysticism and ninjas and like that kind of stuff. I expect that one to be another area, but probably not now. I mean, it could be now, but that feels a little close to Aria. Because Aria is very like whimsical and ninjas are kind of like mystical too. I would, flavor-wise, it would be cool to see a hard swap, because that's what we had with Monarch. We had Monarch and then Aria, hard swap into something like way different. We also have Metrix and the Pits. Metrix is the big steampunk city. These are both considered two separate areas, even though the Pits is below Metrix. We also have the Savage Lands, which is where, so that weird, the Savage Lands, which is where the Brutes are from, or at least Reinhardt and KO are from. I always forget that Levy is a Brute now. And am I missing any other areas? I don't think so off the top of my head. So those are the areas that we have on the table here, because we've already visited more or less the Monastery, Solana, and we technically haven't visited the Monastery, but we've already seen stuff from the Monastery, Solana, and Aria. So yeah, that does leave those areas. Which one of those areas do I think we're going to be going to next? I think Volcor is a good bet. I think Volcor as a warlike nation would make sense with them invading someone else, kind of like Monarch, but maybe they don't want to retread those kind of themes. Something taking place in Volcor could be really interesting, and fleshing it out, because right now Volcor seems very one note. It's just like there's lava. It's like the Fire Nation. Volcor is the Fire Nation. Even Kano looks like Fire Lord Ozai. So like a younger Fire Lord Ozai for those Avatar watchers out there. So I think Volcor could be really interesting to see what they do with it and how they like swap it up. Mysteria would also be very, very cool. I would expect the talent from Mysteria to be something like Wind or something like that. You should have like Wind Ninjas. I mean, okay, this brings me to a good point that I just thought of. So each region has their own border, right? And that border ties to the talent, right? So we had Aria and Elemental, and we had the Elemental border, but we also had the sub borders for that too. We had the, you know, the Earth, the Lightning, and so on. So we already know what the other borders are, because we've seen them. We've seen the heroes that are from those areas, and we've seen the borders, so we can kind of guess based on the borders. And the reason I say Wind for Mysteria is if you look at Katsu or Ira or Benji, they have like this swirly wind kind of border. So I expect it to be Wind or Mist or something like that from Mysteria. From Volcor, we have Fire and Magma. And curiously, we did not see Fire as an element from Aria. So I would not be surprised to see Fire or Magma or even something more more obscure like War. Obscure is not the right word. It would be more ephemeral. I don't know how to put it. Like War or Chaos or something like that. And then we have the Savage Lands, which is, if you look at the border, it's a very, very naturey, jungly kind of border. I would expect something like Nature or Chaos or Life, maybe even Life. And then Metrix and the Pits. The Pits is very interesting because it's got like this poison, this goo coming down and all these like barbed and stuff. I would expect something like, could be even Death, could be Poison, something like that from the Pits. And then Metrix is super interesting. I'm going to guess it's not anything conventional. I think it's going to be something unique to Flesh and Blood, like Teklo. Like the talent is Teklo. I think it's going to be something, or Energy or something like that. That's what I think the Metrix one is going to be. So where do I think we're actually going? It's hard to tell. Probably not the Savage Lands. I'm gonna rule the Savage Lands out. I don't know why, but I'm just gonna say no Savage Lands. It's like too close to Aria. Mysteria is also a little close to Aria. Maybe Volcor, maybe the Pits and Metrix. Those would be my guesses. These are just kind of like wild swing. Those are gonna be my guesses as to where we go next. But the whole point of this video is to set your expectations, right? We will not see a retread of the same talents in a new main set for a while, I would guess. I could be wrong, obviously. I don't actually know, but I would guess that we visit all of the regions of Wraith before we do a retread outside of a supplemental set. I really think the supplemental set is going to be the place to supplement all of that other stuff. Like I said, I really expect the release to be main set, supplemental set, and that supplemental set to reinforce those 2 main sets. And like I said, you can think of it like a season. That's really what I'm thinking is going on here, and that's what I would expect going forward. Those are my expectations. I mean, you can have your own expectations, but that's what I really, really believe to be the case, just from my observation and by what James White has said in interviews. If anyone's curious about any of this stuff, he's got a bunch of interviews out on the internet. He says a lot of things in those interviews, so I would highly recommend going and watching them, because a lot of people are just shooting in the dark, and I'm like, well, James has specifically already said this kind of stuff. One small minor thing, I also want to talk a little bit about sets going out of print. I also expect Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising to go out of print fairly soon. I don't know how soon, but we have Crucible of War go out of print. I expect these other ones to go out of print soon. Hopefully not for like a full another year. So like, I would say, so we have the start of a new season coming up, right? Because we had Monarch Aria supplemental set. That's one season, right? And then we're gonna have the start of another season. I expect when that season's done, or when it starts, it could be really soon, but I would expect when that season's done, we start seeing the first season, Welcome to Wraith, Arcane Rising, and then we also had Crucible of War, to start to go out. And the reason I think it's going to take a little bit longer for those ones to go out of print is because they are main sets that have main heroes, and they have, you know, they're draftable. They're, you know, you can play them with sealed, so they're more substantial than Crucible of War, and I think they're going to be, you know, in print longer. I think after that, we might start seeing special sets outside of the seasonal supplemental sets that are like core sets, where they're just like reprint needed stuff from the history of the game. I think we're definitely going to see that. So I wouldn't expect to see like the, you know, the World of Wraith core set 1 or something, and it's like just got a bunch of stuff in there. It's got like E-Strike and Command and Conquer and Tunic and a bunch of stuff from Crucible. I expect to see that in the future as well. So thank you for taking the time, hang out with me, watch this video. Those are my expectations. If you want a quick recap, because this was long and rambly, no new talents in the supplemental set. They will be talents, Light, Shadow, and Elemental, supplementing and reinforcing what we got in Season 2, which is Monarch and Tales of Aria. I do believe that's going to be all in the supplemental set. We'll probably see support maybe for some other heroes as well outside of that, maybe some Ninja and Wizard support. That's going to be that. For the main set coming out after that, I don't think we'll see any rehashing of any of the talents. It's going to be brand new talents, probably with a landscape. Probably not a gem. We'll probably see the gem in the supplemental set. It'll probably have to do with the Olim, and it'll probably have to do with Guardians, all in the supplemental set. For the main set, I imagine to see brand new talents in a brand new region. My guess would be maybe Metrics and the Pits. That would be sweet. I'm only guessing that because that's where I want to go the most. Though Volcor and Mysteria would also be very, very cool. I just think I think Mysteria is too close to Aria. Volcor could be sweet. Maybe Volcor versus the Savage Lands, or it could be a standalone thing too. Could be. But that's what I expect. I also expect to see a new landmark for the region that we're highlighting, right? So if it's the Pits, it could be like Blackjack's Tavern. And I do expect to see brand new heroes and maybe some brand new classes, especially if it's the Pits. It would be a cool place to see some of those classes that we saw in the lore book, like Alchemist or Assassin, I think. Though Assassin could also be really cool from Volcor. So yeah, those are my expectations going forward with these new sets. I also, like I said, expect Welcome to Wraith and Arcane Rising to go out of print soonish. Not maybe a year, but they will go out of print. So don't be surprised. Everyone, when they go out of print, don't be surprised. PSA, they are going to go out of print. They're not going to be in print forever. Period. I know there's people who believe that they are. They are not. They're going to go out of print. James White has literally said that they're going to go out of print in an interview. They're going to go out of print. So if you want to get Arcane Rising and Welcome to Wraith, buy them now when they're dirt cheap, because they will, at some point, they will no longer exist. I'm not telling you to invest in them because I don't do that. I'm not telling you to just buy them all up because they're going to be worth money. I don't know. They might. Who knows? I don't know. Also, I don't care. I'm telling you to buy them if you want them. That's what I'm telling you, because they will eventually go out of print and they will eventually cease to exist. So if you want them, you should buy them. That's just it. Anyway, leaving on that random note, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We're getting really, really close to 10,000. Oh man, it's so sweet. I'm gonna do some really, really cool stuff for 10,000. So yeah, tell your friends. Tell your friends who might like card games and Flesh and Blood. We talk about more than Flesh and Blood here, but it's mostly Flesh and Blood. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.